Hi students, today we are going to read The Statue of Liberty. This book was written by Jill Braithwaite. So this is our title, the name of the book, The Statue of Liberty. Between the title and the picture on the front cover of this book, I can come up with an idea about what this book will be about. It's going to be about this statue. And the name of the statue is the Statue of Liberty. So on the front cover of a book, we have the title. At the bottom, we have the author's name. The title is written in larger letters than the author's name. We also have the spine of the book and the back of the book. Let's look at this non-fiction book, a book that's written to inform or teach us. Statue of Liberty by Jill Braithwaite. Oh, it's a table of contents. The reason that we have a table of contents is to help us as readers. The book is organized so that we can find exactly what it is that we want to learn about. The table of contents will take the tinier topics, the smaller key details, and tell us what page we would find that information on. I know just from looking at this page that what I will learn about the Statue of Liberty has something to do with being proud. It's standing proud. And if I wanted to read it about that key detail, I would look on page 4. I'm going to find something about being friends with the French, because here, on French Friends, on page 10, I could learn more about that. Building the statue is on page 13. So if I wanted to learn about how the statue was built, I would look at page 13. Welcome to America. The statue was brought to our country. So if I wanted to learn more about that, I would look on page 20. The reason that we have a table of contents is to help us find what page we would read about that key detail on. In the back of a book that's nonfiction, we would have a glossary and an index. Nonfiction books have some special words that are specific to that topic, and experts about that topic use those words. Those words are often in bold text. They're written bigger or darker than the other words on the page. In the back of the book, I could look up what those words mean. The meaning or definition of the words would be in the glossary. It's like a little dictionary just for this topic. The index is also in the back of the book, and it helps us understand those special words too, but it tells us what page they're on, not what they mean. If I wanted to know the meaning, I go to the glossary. If I want to know what page, I go to the index. Standing proud. Where are these people standing? Let's look at this photograph. They're looking out some windows. They're looking out at water. They're inside of something that's a dark greenish gray color. Do you know where they are? They are inside the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty towers over New York City. The Statue of Liberty looks across the water. Do you see these windows in the crown? That's where they are standing. The Statue of Liberty stands for freedom. The statue is made of copper. Copper turns green when it sits outside. The statue is of a proud woman. She wears robes and a crown. In one hand, she holds a torch. She holds a tablet in the other hand. This is the tablet. It's not an electronic tablet. A tablet is a piece of stone with writing on it. On the tablet is the date, July 4th, 1776. That day, the United States of America was born. That was the first day that we were our own country. so it's our birthday. Numbers on the tablet are written in Roman numerals. That's a way of writing numbers with letters of the alphabet. It's not a kindergarten way of writing numbers. French friends. The British king once ruled America. Americans fought a war to be free. France helped the United States win the war. Here, French and American soldiers lined up together at the end of the war against the British. France and the United States became friends. Many French people wanted to give the United States a gift. And U.S. General George Washington shakes hands with the French commander in this painting. He was a general before he was our first president. A French artist named Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi had an idea. He said that everything in America was big. He wanted to build a big statue for Americans. Here's that key detail, building the statue. Remember we saw on the table of contents, we would find out about that on page 13. Well, here we are on page 13. And here's the heading, building the statue. Bartholdi found the perfect spot for the statue. It was Bedloe's Island in the harbor of New York City. Ships sail in New York Harbor. Across the water is Bedloe's Island, and it was later renamed Liberty Island. Workers began building the statue in Paris, France in 1875. You can see the statue's hand and the robe in this picture. They hammered copper sheets into the right shapes. So this is a sheet of copper, and workers get the copper sheets ready for the statue. Later, workers nailed the copper sheets to a huge iron frame. Here's the iron frame. And the workers had to stand on platforms as they attached the copper sheets into the frame that's underneath of this statue. So here's the platform, and this right here in the middle is the frame. Bartholdi and his crew finished the statue in 1884. It was taken apart and sent to the United States. Crowds in New York came out to greet the ship carrying the Statue of Liberty from France. There, the statue was put together for the second time. It was finally ready in 1886. So this is them putting it back together. Americans celebrated on October 28, 1886, and thousands came to see the Lady of Liberty. Fireworks explode as Americans celebrate the Statue of Liberty in 1886. Remember, on the table of contents it said that we would read about the key detail, Welcome to America, about bringing it to America, or about welcoming people to America, and we saw that it was going to be on page 20. Well, here's the heading for that, and we are on page 20 now. In the late 1800s, the Statue of Liberty stood for something new. So at first, it stood for friendship between the French and the United States, but now it's going to start standing for something new. And whatever new it's going to start standing for will have something to do with this heading, Welcome to America. So listen carefully. Many new people, called immigrants, began coming to the United States. The immigrants often arrived on ships in New York Harbor. The Statue of Liberty stood for their hope for a better life. It was often the first thing that they saw when they came to the United States. They were on the ship, and as they sailed in, they could see the Statue of Liberty. It was like it was welcoming them to the new country. The Statue of Liberty greeted immigrants. By the 1980s, the statue needed fixing up. She got a shiny new torch. Her copper skin was cleaned. Bolts were tightened. The finishing touches were put on the statue's gold torch. New Yorkers celebrated the repairs in 1986 on the statue's 100th birthday. Visiting the statue. Millions of visitors come to the Statue of Liberty every year. They take a ferry boat across the harbor. So this is a ferry boat. There's no way to drive to the statue, so visitors have to travel by boat to get there. People enjoy looking out the windows inside the statue's crown. Do you see them? The statue's torch still glows in New York Harbor. People see its light and they think of freedom. Here's a map of the New York City area. This is a neat map because it shows us where the U.S. and the state of New York are on the globe. A map of the world here. Then it zooms in and shows us what New York looks like. Here we have the state of New York, and the green part is the United States, and up here we see Canada. So it zooms into this little picture that we'd seen, and it gets us close. Then, see this little area right here? They zoomed in on that, and they said that's where the Statue of Liberty is, in New York Harbor. And they zoomed in so that we could see there's New Jersey, and here's New York. Fun facts. The Statue of Liberty stands 305 feet tall. The statue's pointer finger is 8 feet long. That's taller than your parents. Each eye is as wide as a doorway. The statue was sent to the United States in 214 crates. That's a big box. So 214 big boxes in order to carry the statue over here. The statue's full name is Liberty Enlightening the World. Here's our glossary. The special words in this book were copper, ferryboat, harbor, immigrant, liberty, statue, and tablet. And here are the definitions. If I did not know what copper was, I would look on the glossary, and it would tell me that copper is a reddish-brown metal. So the glossary doesn't tell me where to find the words. The glossary tells me what they mean. This page for further reading is often in nonfiction books, and it just tells us some more places that we can go to find out more information about this topic. And in the very back of a nonfiction book, we have the index. The index tells us where we would find those special words in the book. So we know copper was one of our special words. And the index will tell us that we could find the word copper on page 6, on pages 15 through 16, and on page 22. Thank you for reading this nonfiction book with me. I hope you understand more now about the table of contents, the glossary, and the index.